Hello and welcome, my name is Parky and today we're going to be doing another Let's Create in Spore. Today we're going to be taking a look at the All-Terrain Armoured Transport, or the AT-AT, as it's more famously known from Star Wars. I think it's fairly, hitting with the times, seeing as new Star Wars films come out. Not that there's any AT-ATs in it yet, dear God I hope there is. But anyway, we're going to be trying to do this today. So I started up a new creation, which is going to be a military land vehicle, because I think that probably suits quite well. And well, let's just get on with it. There's quite a few shapes in the bodies tab which I think are going to work quite well with this creation. This one was one that was suggested by you in one of the previous videos, so I'm hoping I can do it justice. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this as our base shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it upside down, because this top ridge here is almost a perfect shape for our AT-AT. So let's make this a little bit longer, and we're also going to make it maybe a little bit wider at the bottom here, and then move it up. Now obviously you're not going to get exactly the right shape in Spore, but we're going to give it our best go. I'm also going to rotate it around this way, because I think it's possibly slightly more correct, because it's got sort of a smaller slope at the front, and then a bigger slope at the back, which looks pretty damn good. Okay, so that's fine. And I'm thinking for the head, there's got to be a shape that's fairly similar for that as well. In fact, we could even just use this again, but a smaller version of it. The head shape is slightly different. Maybe one of these if we make it a lot shorter and fatter, such as this, but then made it a bit wider and also a bit taller. Because what we're going to do is we're going to layer up a few of these different blocks just to make it slightly more interesting in its shape. Now the head is also going to tilt down slightly, and if you actually look at the shape of this thing, the head is sort of further down the body. It's got a ridge up above the top, which I'd like to try and create if I can. So let's see if there's a nice square one that we can put in the middle here as well. So we're going to make this slightly wider. We're going to make it thinner though, something like this, and then bring it down and make it a lot taller. So let's just zoom out quickly so I can actually see what's going on. There we go, and make it a bit like that, bringing it in though slightly more because we don't want it to stick out too much. And I think, is that good? I feel like that's good on most parts. Okay, and then at the bottom of the AT-AT we want to make the shape slightly bulging outwards down here. So let's get like a central bit that we can put in here. I don't really think it matters what shape we go for here so much, just something that tapers inwards. So possibly this one, maybe. Yeah, sure, okay. Let's make this a lot smaller, and we're going to move this down, if we can, something like this, but we're going to make it wider as well, just so it fits in with this shape, and rotate it round like this. Yeah, okay, I think that's sort of a good basis. It's pretty close anyway. And what we're going to need also is a sort of more round shape to put on top of the head here. And I think I'm going to use this boat because it fits pretty well with what I'm trying to do here. Which sounds weird, but let's just go for it and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so it's got like a ridge on the top of the head at the back, and also sort of like a round jutting bit that comes out of the sides slightly. It's not too like prominent. I think that's probably quite good, something like this. Yeah, okay, I think I'm going to go with that. Right, and then aside from that, I think that's pretty much good for the main body shape. We need to connect these two together, so let's now get a tubular shape that we can connect them together with. And possibly this one will do. We don't need it to be anything too fancy. I'm going to make it slightly shorter and fatter, something like this. And of course, actually, it's a shame I can't make this any smaller. I think we could even just do something like that and bring it out slightly, and then just move the head and this back to fit in with that. Okay, so now I think the next big thing that we're going to want to do is put on the legs. Now there's actually some quite nice robotic sort of legs in this. Some of them are a bit of a weird shape. I'm not really sure which ones would suit the best. I think these would suit the best if we can make them the right angle. I think the problem is that they bend back. They've got this sort of extra joint in here which is going to look really not right. So, and I don't really think there's anything we can do to change that, unfortunately. So we're not going to use those. We could alternatively use this. The only problem with these ones is, even though they've got the perfect bottoms to the legs, they're not really... they're a bit too smooth. Like the AT-ATs have very straight, sort of rigid bars, don't they, as the legs? So I'm thinking these ones, but then the other problem is that the AT-AT legs don't really bend forwards. Well, they do, but they're not sort of known to bend forward that much. Oh god, what the hell is this? So I suppose we could go for something like this, although they do jut out quite a lot. I think just for the shape in general, the fact that these are quite straight legs, and they're also quite good for the feet shape, I think we're going to go for these. And we'll move them forward just a little bit so that they're a bit further apart, make the back legs a little bit bigger just to match the front, and that's pretty good. I mean, again, there's only so much you can do in this game, so we're just going to have to accept a few little differences. Now, the eyes. There's sort of like a main control eye bit on the front, and I think there's a light that I want to go with which looks almost perfect for this, which is going to be this one. So let's move this down here like that, and we're going to rotate it forwards so it sort of like sits a bit more like that. And then on the sides of the head we've got sort of two jutting round parts, and I think we can actually change this slightly just to make it a little bit better. So let's see, I don't think we can do it with that. Maybe we can do it with one of these other objects. We've got a couple of gun turrets we've got to put on. Now the front, he's got two sort of big cannons on either side of his head. So let's go for these, because I think these are the closest that we're going to get. We're going to rotate them down a little bit as well. We want to make them a bit fatter. Rotate downwards, and also rotate inwards. So they sort of sit more closely to the side of the head. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And then on the bottom here we have a couple of normal turrets, which have multiple gun endings. I suppose it depends on the type of AT-AT we're going for, but I think these ones here will look pretty damn good. And I think we're going to bring them down a little bit like that, rotate them upwards again so they're facing in line with the rest of the AT-AT's front. Actually, I think I rotated it a bit too much forwards. So there we go. Right, okay. So that looks pretty damn good. I think for other details on the head, there's not so much that we can do. In terms of the rest of the body though, there's not really much other detail in general. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just put a few more little bits of detailing on here if we can. There's not so much in terms of this stuff that we can put on there, but maybe in this menu we can add a bit more texturing on the outside. Let's make him look a bit more like he's got a few vents off of the sides. Maybe something like this, because I don't like following completely to the book, to the letter. Make it a bit flatter like that. That seems good. And then maybe on the top as well, we can put one of these bars. Instead of facing sideways like this, we're going to rotate it round, make it thinner, so it sits a bit more flush to the main body part of the AT-AT. Okay, and then the rest of this area, I think there's not really much other details that I'd like to add. I think it looks pretty damn good so far. Maybe what we could do instead is go for a bit of detailing on the front like so. In fact, we can add a few vents, can't we? Maybe a vent on the side here, just make it really small, make it sit inwards slightly. Yeah, okay, I like that. And what else have we got here? There's a few little other vents that we could add on. Maybe on the head, we can put a couple of vents on the top. Maybe like here, maybe on the side even, just to make it look like there's a bit more like detail going on, because I sometimes feel as though some of the details make things look a bit more realistic. I'll tell you what I would like to put on it, a couple of antennae. So let's just put one of these on the back in the corner over here, and we're going to rotate it upwards if we can. Let's make it a lot smaller than this, because we don't want it to stick out too much. In fact, this doesn't look very good at all, does it? So maybe we won't use this one. Are there any like better antennae? Maybe this one will look better. Can we get rid of the blobs on it? It doesn't look like it. Ooh, these are weird, aren't they? Maybe make it smaller, and then make it a lot smaller like this. Not sure, I kind of like the idea of having one of these on its head. It's not really sticking to the plot though, is it? You know what, no, I don't think we're going to ruin it. I think this is pretty damn good. It's pretty close to what we're going for. So let's just leave it as is. Sometimes you can overcomplicate these things. So let's go for a name of, obviously, AT-AT. He's so stompy. Look at his lovely feetsies. Ah. Okay, I don't know why I always make these really stupid comments on the bottom. That's fine, we're going to go for that. And then in terms of the colour scheme, I think what we're going to do is we're going to paint him with a generic style of possibly this one. Oh god, no, that looks dreadful, doesn't it? We're not going to paint him with a generic style of anything, actually. We're going to paint him from the ground up. So one of the things about the AT-AT is it sort of looks like it's made out of these panels of metal sewn together. See, let's have a little look what this looks like, and that's pretty... I would say that's pretty accurate, personally. I mean, maybe you could go for like a slightly darker, or maybe even a slightly lighter grey colour, but I think that's okay. So we can go for the legs like this. We're also going to change the colour of all these joints and everything else. We're going to pick up all these other details in slightly darker colour. I'm thinking maybe this grey for the guns. It's not that much darker, but it still makes a little bit of a difference. Maybe even making them darker than that. I feel as though maybe this could do with a bit more picking up of the fine details in a darker grey. Okay, and we're going to go for that. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, the dark vents like that. We're also going to go for the joints of the legs in a slightly darker colour. Also, the gun batteries I feel as though need to be picked out slightly more like this. I'm going to go for the vents in the dark grey, and also like this. Now, what other colours can we go for? I think we're going to change the colour of the light, because it's a deep red, and I think it needs to be a really deep red colour. It's sort of got this weird orange tone to it, which is okay. It's not really my preferred. It's a shame because I don't think you can really get it really stark red like that. You can make it a bit redder. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, now what else can we change? I'd like a bit more detailing on the AT-AT itself. Unfortunately, an AT-AT is very just dark grey. I guess we could make a few little red blobs on it just to pick out a bit of colour. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is like a custom-built AT-AT with red joints and other stuff. I don't think I'm going to go too crazy though. I think that's pretty good on the face there. So here we are, the final product, an AT-AT. I think it's come out pretty damn well, all things considered. Maybe I would have liked just to put a bit more detail into it. Maybe the body shape you could spend a little bit more time going into, but there's only so much you can do in this game, so I'm pretty happy with how this has gone out. The only thing that I would change if I could, if there are more options in this, maybe if we install a mod pack, we can get more sort of straight cut legs, because these ones are a bit smooth, they're a bit bulbous. But aside from that, it's pretty damn close. If you enjoyed this Let's Build, then please feel free to leave a support in the comment section below. Remember to leave your suggestions for the next episode as to what I should build. Maybe a creature, vehicle, anything else that you can think of. Maybe a building. We haven't done any buildings yet. That'd be an interesting one. But as always, leave your support in terms of ratings as well. That really helps out the series. And tell your friends as well. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, awkward orca, goodbye. Awkward.